In this video, we'll learn how to navigate to new record with default values. So in the previous video, we have seen how we can navigate to new record, but this time the requirement is the new record will have some default values. So this is what we're gonna learn in this. So let's go to our VS Code. As we already created the component, we're gonna use the same component here, that is navigate to object page, and I'll copy paste the card again as it is below the card, and I'll say navigate to new record with default values. We'll say new record with default values are label of the button, and we'll say navigate to new record with default is my method name. I'll go and create the method. So this method will get called when you click that button, that new record with default. So now the approach will be almost same, but there is a slightly difference. So first thing, we'll copy paste the same approach that we know. We need to import the navigation mixin, we have to wrap our base component, and we need to check, we need to call navigation mixin.navigate method. We need to pass the object. We already know for the new record our type is standard object page, and then we need to pass the attributes. We are going with the same object name contact, and the action name is new. We want to create the new record, but this time we want to pass some default values, right? And to pass the default values, we need another import called encode default field values. Let's go and import that. Put encode default field values from lightning slash page reference utils module. Okay, so we are importing the encoded default field values from lightning slash page reference util, and this module provides two functions basically. This particular module provides us two functions basically, that is encode default field values or decode default field values. And this function basically encode the default fields value into a string. Okay, so whatever the default value you want to pass to the navigation while creating the record, you have to encode them. So let's go and encode them. So we already import this method, and to encode those values, what we're gonna do is above our navigation method, we'll say encode the values, and the values you have to create in the form of object. So you, what all values you want to pass, so we already know first name is a property or the field name in the what we call contact. So I'll say 0 my first name. I also know the field last name, and these are the API names, first name, last name. So I'll say last name 0. So first name is 0, last name is 0, and we can say lead source. Lead source is also a property there, and I'll say lead source other, and I'll store this encoded value into a variable. I'll say const default values is my variable. I encoded these values and it's stored into the default values. Now we want to pass these default values along with our navigation, and to pass that, the data is always, we called it as states. We'll create a property called state, and we'll pass, there is a property under the state called default field values, and you need to map your default values that you have created. So I'll say this is the default values we want to map to the default field values of the navigation service. So now when we click on this button, it will go and open the contact record in the new form, and it will automatically set the values that you are passing here to that form. So let's deploy this. Component is deployed. Let's refresh the page. So our component. Second card is here. Let's click this, and we want a contact record with default values like first name should be 0, last name should be 0, and our lead source should be other. So I clicked on the button. You can see the first name is by default 0 now, last name is 0, and there will be somewhere lead source. Lead source is a drop down. So here you can see it's by default selected to others. Okay, so this is how you set your default values using that method encode. And if you don't know how I get to know these names, like many people might have the question how we will get to know this name, first name, last name, lead source. You can go to the object manager. If you click on here icon, you can click on setup, and you can select the object manager. You can search for the contact here, and in contact you can check for the field names, and here you can see the lead source, and lead source API name is lead source, and this the same name I have used here, lead source. Okay, so this is how you can create your default values and wrap them with the encode default field values method. And once it's encoded form, you can pass in the states and it will automatically set there. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.